Thursdays are normally quite relaxed affairs at GPs, but this is no ordinary Thursday because we're at the Silverstone circuit for the AirAsia British Grand Prix. The Day of Champions is taking place, the official day of MotoGP's official charity, Riders for Health. And there's plenty of action going on, as you can see behind me, a stunt show taking place now. Lots of activity planned for the day to try and raise funds for Riders for Health. Let's take a look at what's been happening throughout the day. This year's Day of Champions was the 20th edition of the special fundraising event and proved to be a huge success, raising almost £200,000 for the charity. Amongst the planned events this year were multiple world trial champion Dougie Lampkin impressing fans with his skills, a music concert, bike displays and the chance for fans to get closer to their MotoGP idols while helping Riders for Health raise important funds, and the action continued throughout the day. So we're with former GP rider Neil McKenzie. Neil, you led the ride-in today. Just explain to us a little bit about what happened and how it's helped the Riders for Health and the Day of Champions.
Well, the ride-in is an amazing event. It's fully booked every year. Now we're at Silverstone. The ride-in starts up at Gaydon, the Motor Heritage Museum, and we have a 40-odd mile ride-in here to Silverstone, and then the guys get to do 3 laps of the track, which is an amazing way to start the weekend. The ride-in is always fully booked. You pay money, but that all goes to riders, which is for a good cause, and as I said, the guys have a great time. I've been involved in the riding now, I think, for 15 years, and I ride in at the front, and Bradley Smith helps me out as well. Doesn't matter that Bradley or me are there, that it would happen anyway, because it's just a fantastic event, and as I said, it's just a great way to start the weekend.
And a special weekend as well for you, because your son Taylor's riding as well. It's his first season. This will be quite an exciting weekend for you guys with his first home GP, no?
Yeah, very much so. Like myself, the home Grand Prix is very special for Taylor. He doesn't feel any pressure, and he also loves Silverstone and the circuit, so he's looking forward to it. He's been thinking about it all year, as he has in his first year in the World Championship. But yeah, we're hoping for a good weekend. If he can score 1 or 2 points, then we'd leave happy.
Okay, Neil, thanks very much. Let's take a look at what else has been going on today here at Day of Champions. The BBC's Matt Roberts hosted a question of bikes quiz, with the final disputed between members of the Riders Suzuki team and the public. Stars from all 3 categories of the World Championship also made appearances on stage to keep fans entertained throughout the day, with the atmosphere building towards the famous Day of Champions auction in the afternoon. Okay, well, we're with the CEO and co-founder of Riders for Health, Andrea Coleman. Andrea, just explain to us the purpose of Day of Champions, and this is the 20th year it's been happening, so how has it evolved through the years?
Well, when we started, Day of Champions was very small. I think we had something like 200 people, and now today I think we have 6,000. But the reason we started Day of Champions was for 2 reasons. We had decided that we really needed to make some changes in Africa that weren't being changed, and we felt we could do that. So part of the purpose was to raise enough money to begin our work in Africa, and the second part was because we felt that I'm a motorcyclist, and I love the idea of bringing the great champions and the great participants in it together with the people, and that's what it was for, to bring those two sides together, but also to raise the money, and that's the important part for us.
And you're raising money for Riders for Health, which is the official charity of MotoGP. For those who don't know the work that riders do, just explain to us the purpose of Riders for Health.
The purpose of Riders for Health is to enable health care to reach rural communities, and most times health workers walk and they don't have any means of getting there, but so we make sure that the health worker has a motorcycle that never breaks down, and we train people, local people, to run and manage the motorcycles. But it also means that more important than anything is that children and women are dying in rural communities because they don't have health care. They're too far away for someone to walk. But this is the 21st century, and there's health care to be taken, but no way of taking it. So for us, it's making sure that the health care gets to the people who so desperately need it.
Okay. And coming up shortly, we've got the auction, which is the showpiece of the day. What's the purpose of the auction? What's going to happen? It's been very successful in years gone by.
Yeah. Well, the auction is really, as you say, the centrepiece, because what it shows is just how committed MotoGP is to Riders for Health and how motorcycles save lives. But every single rider comes along out of goodwill. Nobody makes them do it. They come because they want to come. And they're out there doing their amazing performance over the weekend. But today they give their time and their items for auction to Riders for Health, because they're good guys, and it just shows that they think about something other than racing, but it's really, really important to us, and they do that because they care about what's happening in Africa.
Okay, Andrea, thanks very much. Let's take a look and see how the auction went just afterwards. The auction started at 4:30 in the afternoon, and with a host of riders having donated items for sale, fans were able to bid on some amazing authentic pieces of signed memorabilia, which included leathers, boots, gloves, helmets, photos, paintings and one-off experiences. In total, the auction alone raised just under a staggering £64,000, with the grand total of the Day of Champions bringing in a fantastic £194,000. World champion Jorge Lorenzo was one of many taking part in the auction, and the Spaniard even gave away some freebies, throwing t-shirts into the crowd, whilst a range of signed items from Valentino Rossi contributed a substantial £13,000 to the cause. One of the very special items on offer was a VIP experience with the Riders Suzuki team, which included a lap of the Silverstone circuit with Alvaro Bautista, a prize which went for just over £3,000. Well, we're backstage at the auction now. We've just seen Paul Denning, team manager for Riders Suzuki. The experience with Alvaro Bautista has gone for more than £3,000. Paul, that's a lot of money to pay, but obviously a fantastic experience. And you've been supporting the Riders for Health. The team has been supporting Riders for Health for quite a long time now.
Yeah, and we're proud to do so. It's such an effective charity, such a driven charity. It runs on such a relatively low overhead. The money it raises really does go into the projects that it supports, and it's just amazing that people are willing not only to support the charity so strongly, but spend so much money. It shows the value of getting on the inside, if you like, of MotoGP. And if all our VIP guests paid that kind of money to the team for their weekends, we'd be delighted. But no, for that kind of volume of money to be going to Riders for Health, I think we raised, with 3 auction bids, just over £6,000, and that's fantastic. Really happy to do so, and look forward to looking after our guests for the weekend.
And so much work goes into it. It must be really satisfying to be able to lend a hand that obviously brings such a reward for the guys who've worked so hard for so long.
Yeah, absolutely, and whether that's whether it's a fan or someone on the team or the people from Riders for Health, I think motorcyclists in general have an affinity with the sport and with the shared passion. Couldn't think of a better charity to support, frankly speaking, and long may it continue, and I hope we can help out in whatever form's the right way to do it as things go forward. Yeah.
Well, we're just taking a look at some of the items from Valentino Rossi that you've seen auctioned off there, and joining me now is co-founder and former GP rider Randy Mamola. Randy, just tell us a little bit about the work that you do with Riders for Health, because you do some quite interesting stuff with the Ducati two-seater and rides through Africa and stuff. Just explain to us about the work that you do.
Well, for me, I guess it's being a co-founder was one side of it, but I guess I get to do the fun side as well. Get to do all the riding, whether it's in Africa or here at Silverstone. We're very lucky that Ducati allow us to use the 2-seat bike to actually raise money this weekend. As you know, Day of Champions is something that's very, very special to the whole World Championship of MotoGP. Thanks to Dorna, the FIM, IRTA, everybody, all our volunteers. It's just great to be here. And then I think tomorrow on Friday we have 9 passengers, on Saturday 5, and 4 lucky passengers on Sunday.
And it makes for a fantastic experience for the riders to be able to meet their heroes like you, but also other riders, and get really close to the riders as well.
Well, you have to imagine, on a normal Friday working day for MotoGP, it's tough. I mean, there's a lot of riders moving around and stuff, but they've got to go and do be about their business. And probably coming to the UK, it's a double-edged sword, because they're used to the BSB round where they're allowed to go in a lot of places. On Friday and Saturday and Sunday, we're really restrictive in terms of what passes we give out and so on and so forth, the championship. But Day of Champions is that day where it's an open house. And we allow X amount of people to come into where the motorhomes are, and obviously where the trucks are, to see the bikes with the garage doors open. Obviously, I saw a bunch of fans today with jackets signed by numerous amounts of riders. They were so happy. And then the big event is obviously up on stage, where we have 90% of the riders show up to auction off some of their gear, and what a great way to end a show.
And this is the 20th year that the Day of Champions has been going, and it's just gone from strength to strength. How has it evolved down the years?
Well, it just keeps getting bigger. I mean, it's, you know, obviously when we moved to Silverstone last year, it was the first time that we'd done it here. It had been previously, obviously, at Donington. But Silverstone was very receptive to it, and it was very important. I think it worked out really well. I think this year in particular, it's even better because of the new wing, the presentation of the new part of the circuit. That's a big impact here for Silverstone. You know, I won this Grand Prix back in 1980 and back in 1984 with the great Barry Sheen around and Kenny Roberts and so on, so they're big names. But there was also a big name here at this racetrack, Silverstone. It meant something very much like the Monza or the Spa-Francorchamps. I'm not too sure who built who in terms of legend, the legendary circuit of Silverstone or the legends that came here. But it's always great to be back here, and it's a different style type of racetrack, but it's great to have, you know, the Day of Champions to be the launch of it all.
And the money that's raised from Day of Champions, how does it help Riders for Health and the work that they do?
Well, I mean, we can put money in certain areas. As you know, we have around 1,000 motorcycles working in Africa, reaching more than 10 million people, and that's giving them consistent, relatively consistent health work straight across the board. I mean, we've changed some areas in Africa by 500%, raised the health by 500%, but that's easy to do when you see all the publicity that you see on televisions, whether it's through UNICEF or whatever that's being on TV asking for money and so on. This specifically is derived by our sport. I think it's the only charity that's ever been created by a single sport. And as I said, the manufacturers supported, the championship owners, Dorna supported, the FIM supported, and of course, as you'll see on stage here, the riders support it.
Okay, Randy, thanks very much. Let's take a look at some of the best images from the day.